what do you make of this notion that you somehow are a scary candidate, meaning that you would come into Congress and be causing dissension within the Black Caucus? I saw some of the comments over the weekend. Again, the fierce campaigning that is happening on both sides.
Well, that's by some of them. They just want to try to caricature me. That's nothing new. We know that Black women have endured this since the inception of this country. It really is a shame to see members of the Black Caucus play into those types of stereotypes. I wonder, did they think that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was scary when he stood up against this nation and talked about the three evils: militarism, poverty, racism? I wonder, did they think that Fannie Lou Hamer, sharecropper from Mississippi, was scary when she united with her poor white sisters and brothers and family and friends in Mississippi and started a freedom party and actually challenged President Lyndon Baines Johnson and the Democratic Party in the 1960s and called them out for not doing a good job when it came to listening to the cries of the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class? So we find ourselves in that same scenario right now. And so people who want to uphold the status quo, they come in all phenotypes, and there's always people who want to uphold the status quo in every single generation. And we see that right now, right here. I wonder, did they think Rosa Parks was scary when she challenged? And on, Roland. I can give countless examples of the very people that we come together to recognize and uplift right now in the 21st century. They were vilified and maligned in their time when they too were fighting against the status quo.
When we look at this particular race, folks obviously will be going to the polls. What do you see as the starkest contrast between you and your primary opponent, Shontel Brown? And first of all, let's be clear, it's not just the two of you in the race.
That's right.
Is it like 13, 15, 20, 50 people running?
You got it about right. There's 16 people in total if we count the 3 Republicans who will be in their own primary, but yes, there are 13 Democrats running for the seat. Thank you for that moment of levity. For me, I'm not just saying if something passes, I'll support it. I'm out there fighting for these things to pass, and whether that is Medicare for all. 1 million Ohioans lost their employer-sponsored health care since this pandemic, and if you add that with the crisis of people who are underinsured or underinsured or don't have health insurance at all, that comports with what movement, the progressive movement, and what I call the freedom fighter movement is pushing for. I'm not just saying that if $15 an hour passes, I'll vote for it. I'm out there in the streets fighting for it, have been doing that for over 6 years. I do understand from my lived experience how people who are poor, working poor, and barely middle class feel and the needs that they have. Roland, Cleveland, Ohio is the poorest city in the nation of its size. When you go and roll into Akron, 23% of the people who live in Akron are poor. We don't have time to play games. We need leaders who are going to stand up and have the courage to ask for more. And that is not in contradiction with working with somebody. Of course, if the administration does good things, if the Congress is working on good things, I'm going to be right there to be partner with. But being a partner does not mean being a puppet, and working with does not mean acquiescing to. And if we look at all the greatest socio-economic justice changes that have ever happened in the United States of America, it happened not because politicians got a clue. It happened because ordinary people put a little extra on their ordinary, and they pushed the body politic towards justice, the A. Philip Randolphs of the world, the Ella Bakers of the world. So these very people are some of the same people that were against even President Obama being president of the United States of America. These are the same forces. And Roland, let me make one other point. My major competitor is taking money from Trump Republicans. The owner of the Patriots has donated to her campaign directly and then indirectly donated to super PACs that are coming in here with that evil, dark money to upset, disrupt, and pick their candidate instead of allowing the residents, the voters of this district to pick who they want to have. It is wrong. And if we let them win here, they're coming to a neighborhood near you.
One of the things that we look at these races, turnout is always an issue. And so I was looking at these tweets by Wyatt Ruthven, who is with the South Carolina, first of all, who is, very much covers politics, follows politics. And this is what he tweeted out Final Ohio 11 early voting numbers out of Cuyahoga. 27,199 ballots requested, 20,681 were returned. In Summit County, 2,431 ballots requested, 2,236 ballots returned. He said, based upon these numbers, I'm predicting a total turnout of 40,205. That has got to be unsettling. I mean, look, most congressional districts around 700,000 people. They have 16 people running, and turnout, some say could be anywhere between 40 and 50,000. How are you and your campaign seeing turnout in this race?
That's pretty much our prediction too, and it definitely makes me sad that people have opted out. I mean, here it is, a special election in the heart of summer. Most people are not accustomed to voting in July. Early voting started on July the 7th. And the election day, as you're laying out, is tomorrow. So it's really hard for people, and especially not just having an election in the summer, but also with the pandemic raging and all of these things. So there are some compounding factors. That being said, even if we solve for those, we know that voters don't turn out in the largest numbers necessary during a special election. I want to work to continue, as I always have, to increase voter turnout. It is vitally important, Roland, that we have more people participate in the process than less. Our democracy is more robust. What people's voices out there voting is more robust. So it is sad. All of us should be sad, no matter which candidate you're supporting, that so many people are deciding not to participate in this election. And should I be the winner, I'm going to do everything in my power to leverage my national experience married with my local experience to really motivate and galvanize people to come out to vote. But we have got to give people something to vote for. So as we go into 2022, the Democratic Party would do well to heed the words of Reverend Dr. William Barber and other leaders in the Poor People Campaign, other activists across this country who are crying out saying that the people of this nation deserve more. We have the resources to give them more. Let's do that so that Democrats can show clearly by their deeds that they are different than the Republican Party and that they will deliver for the people who suffer the most in this country. Roland, I am running because of love of the community, love of the poor, love of the downtrodden and the marginalized. And I want to continue my work in the halls of Congress.
Last question for you. There have been a lot of things thrown at you. A lot of people, I've seen the tweets, people who have been very upset with previous comments that you have made with regards to President Joe Biden, with regards to VP Kamala Harris, with regards to Congressman Jim Clyburn. Do you regret previous statements? Do you think you were too over the top, too aggressive, or you simply stand by everything you said before?
What I regret is that some people are more focused on colorful words than focused on the suffering of people. As I just laid out, Cleveland is the poorest city of its size in the United States of America. My sisters and brothers and family and friends in Akron, about 23%. What I regret is that folks went on vacation without expanding the moratorium on evictions. What I regret is a legal system that sees Black men as more criminal than anybody else, and by extension, other people of color, and then people who are poor. What I regret is that we don't seem to get that the main things are the main things, and that's what we should be focusing in on, and not some colorful words, and not a Black woman's agency in the United States of America. And so again, I am running this race to partner with anybody who is going to sit down or walk or run, whatever we need to do, on a justice journey to lift the people who are suffering the most in this country. And what I will say is that I am old enough to remember that on the debate stage during the primary, that now Vice President Harris called out the current president for his record on busing in schools. And I remember her saying, I was that little girl, as she laid out his record. Now they are side by side. So the moral of the story is, if now Vice President Harris and the president now can work side by side, even though they had some harsh words, or she had some harsh words laying it down during the presidential debate, and nobody's upset about that anymore, then the people who got the dandruff up can rest assured that Sister Turner can work with, and looking forward to working with that administration on what is just, what is right, and what is good. I'm the dance partner for justice, but I am going to always put my district first. They are my first, second, third, and fourth concern. And lastly on that, I think people need to take another civics lessons, because the Congress is not there. The President of the United States of America is not the boss of the Congress. They are co-equal branches of government. And it is the job of any member of Congress, whether they're in the U.S. Senate or in the U.S. House, to advocate for their constituents and also to push the administration to do more, whether they are Republican or Democrat. And that is certainly what I plan to do if I'm elected.
All right then, Nina Turner, we surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thanks, Roland.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin unfiltered video in just one moment.
Racial injustice is a scourge on this nation, and the Black community has felt it for generations. We have an obligation to do something about it. Whether it's canceling student debt, increasing the minimum wage, or investing in Black-owned businesses, the Black community deserves so much better. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress to do something about it.